Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. I had apparently I haven't mastered this YouTube live yet, so I had to send out a new link, reset this up. Apologize for the mishap. Let me know you can hear me if my voice is coming through. Thanks for joining, and thanks for joining in the face of my own mishap. So thanks for joining. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Can you hear me? Chaos for you? Thanks for joining. Perfect. Oh, great, great. Yeah, technology, definitely have to love it when it works right. I guess I need a good geek friend who can walk me through some of this, because I've spent all my life studying people, not computers. So here we are. Thanks for joining. You guys can see the topic. And this is one of those seriously needed. The hokey. Isn't that like something like this? Is that hokey pokey like that? I think they didn't teach me that too well in school. Man, I've got a truck backing up here. So, do women have the right? Yeah, PJ, thanks for joining. Definitely. Yes. Actually, this is a topic that all men need to address around the world. Without question, no doubt. Thanks for stepping in the face of my not connecting all the technology dots properly. Had to send a new link, so thanks. I've spent some time thinking about this topic, and I'd like to share like my thoughts. And part of it is that it seems like women, they love the double standard. And on one hand, they'll all claim they want equality with men on every front. And on the other hand, they want the right to define manhood and a man's role. And for them, it's the man's role to exhaust all of his resources for women, and he should protect all women, even if he doesn't know her. And when a man asks a woman's role, they say, well, it shouldn't be any roles. And when a man speaks about a woman's role, he's called a caveman, sexist, misogynist. So that doesn't sound like equality. So I don't think women really want equality. They just want a free ride. So a free ride means a man provides and a woman rides. That's the paradigm. So I want to have this talk because I want to completely disrupt this paradigm. I want to turn it upside down, gut it out. And I want to talk about how we even got here, how this paradigm became part of, I guess, reality for a lot of guys. Between divorce court, family court, we're kind of living in a lot of guys say we're living in a matriarchy, and you can't find one single matriarchy that was successful. So let's get some likes for this show, guys. Let's get some likes up. Yeah, women definitely have been riding. And at one time, women understood their role on that ride, but it seems like they no longer understand. They want a free ride. It's interesting. I did a show a few months ago about why women should no longer be able to vote. And when I promoted the show on Facebook, oh my God, the women went berserk. I mean, they threatened me. They wished that the god of Athena would come down and strike. I mean, they were out of control. So women actually show you their face when presented with a challenge or something that's not in agreement with them. Yeah, definitely, PJ. It is a privilege, and men don't actually see it that way. So you guys have heard me say this before. Never allow a woman to lead you. And yet here we are in 2020, and men are still allowing women to lead them. So what do I mean? Women continuously make the rules for the man's role. And when you ask her role, she actually starts acting like a little girl, like a little elementary school girl, or she talks like a prostitute. So as a little girl, she's going to be like, rah, rah, I'm your cheerleader. And she's going to stand on a sideline and tell you what to do. and technically you can get your 7-year-old niece to stand on a sideline with pom-poms and cheer you on. And as a prostitute, man, she believes she's doing you a favor by having sex with you. She has no clue. And I'm blown away. It's like women have no clue that sex is a mutual exchange. And what's worse, she expects you to compensate her for opening her legs. And I already did a video on how the US has become a whore culture. So in a whore culture, men automatically provide resources for women. He protects her from danger, even if she's the instigator of violence. And those are the man's roles, according to women. In return, men are told they should want to do that for women. Why? And these are the same human beings who said they don't need a man. So, I want to look at the whole picture we have here. Yeah, men think it's their responsibility, not that men were born thinking it's their responsibility. This is what women just keep saying. And I want to get into how we actually got there. Current laws are definitely a problem. Yeah. So think about it like this. If a woman went to work screaming, I don't need this job, and she had a male boss and said her male boss was a worthless pig, the women who did that, they would quickly find themselves in an unemployment line. So in other words, they wouldn't be rewarded for that behavior. So why are men still rewarding women for behavior that would get them fired at work? And are women saying that they value money more than men? So, what should we learn from that? Just watching women's behavior, because they've been consistent about this. And it seems it's been a problem from the beginning. So I know not everyone is a Christian and swears by the church in the Bible, except it's a perfect analogy. So we're told that Eve valued the fruit of knowledge more than Adam. And since Adam followed, he paid the same price as Eve, and they were kicked out of paradise. So if men are to protect paradise, he has to provide and protect on his terms, not women's terms. And this is the problem that we have now. Men are doing basically everything on women's terms, even writing laws. But so what I'm saying, it means that a man provides constant guidance. He provides wisdom, direction, problem solving, calmness, discipline, money management. See, men have women telling us, men are allowing women to tell us what it means to provide. And I'm saying what men provide, our biggest value to women is that we provide wisdom, we provide direction, we provide problem solving, calmness, making decisions without being emotionally charged. And I'm not saying men are never charged, but there's discipline, there's money management, there's emotional security, there's stability, emotional stability. These are the things that men are providing. That's when you talk about what a man provides, this should be the priority on the list. And when it comes to protection, he's first protecting this. The first thing a man protects a woman from is from herself. So the story of Eve is proof of that. So women will engage in behavior that hurts everyone. Her children, she doesn't care. I already did a video about how women don't really love their children. It's just a feel-good neurochemical. So if men don't support a woman's behavior, bad behavior, she will use that as, oh, you're just going against me because I'm a woman. Well, guys have to really take a stand with that. So part of what men are protecting women from is propaganda. Protect her from her own hatred and pettiness. Protect her from going down the wrong path. Protect her from her emotional impulses. And that means you call her out instantly on her nonsense and pettiness. If all men did this, they'll either have to straighten up or go build their own civilization. And really, that's where men needed to be back in the 60s and 70s. Hey, you ladies are being petty. If you don't like the way things are going here, go build your own. I mean, a lot of those women were lesbians saying they didn't need a man. Right. And that's what I'm getting at, PJ. Men were socialized to think that. No one ever asked men. Yes, the goddess. Right. They meet standards. Yeah, that is a big problem. And I wonder what happened, PJ, when, you say men don't really understand sex as a mutual exchange. Did women, it seems like women just put the carrot, let a man sniff pussy, and the guy is just going to bend over backwards. A lot of people think, the guy who walks around and he's tough and macho is the guy who never gets manipulated by a woman. And that's a lie. I mean, there are stories of the guy who's, the big, I'm tough, no one can mess with me. And you find out that his woman is putting a strap on and sticking it to him and has him on all fours, man. So there are a lot of guys who put this image out in public, and then they go home and pick up the soap for their woman who's wearing a strap on. Women don't respect those men, not at all. So men believe that women are doing them a favor for sex, not because it's always been that way, and it's not even that way around the whole world. There are plenty of places where women understand that sex is a mutual exchange. But feminism has made it, they've changed that. So what I'm getting at, hey, Nanya, good to see you in the house, man. Let's get the likes up on this. I want to really walk through this. Hey, Anthony, good. All right. Didn't know if you wanted to put your name. Thanks. What's going on? Hey, PJ, a lot of people say women can control their sexual urges, yet I'm having a difficult time seeing that. Women might use sex as a manipulation, but I'm going to tell you, man, I've been with enough married women. I've been with enough women who have boyfriends, live-in boyfriends, and women find other ways to express it. They may manipulate the man they're with or the man who's pursuing her, But they're finding some other way to get. I mean, now you have all these toys. But I'm going to tell you, if you just look at the amount of single mothers out here and the amount of women who have multiple children from different men, that's a clear indication that they are not controlling their sexual urges, that there's a complete lack of discipline. And you look at the teen pregnancy rate, you know, you look at some cultures in the US where the teen pregnancy rate is very high and then where it's very low. So you look at the Asian and Middle Eastern, their teen pregnancy rate is extremely low. But that is because the men are doing more protect and provide the way I'm talking about. They're protecting women from themselves. Hell, Middle Easterns even tell their women to cover up. And some of them have really nice bodies, and you understand why they're asking them to cover up. Yeah, or extremely attractive men, or a mutual exchange, not just with extremely attractive men who have a reputation for laying pipe really well. They'll share dicks. Well, chaos for you. That's why I did a whole video on how women don't love. It's just nature's, it's neurochemistry. It's nature demanding that human beings perpetuate the species. They're just responding to neurobiological impulses, just like men do. Right. And even if they're sometimes sexually attracted, PJ, sometimes they do it because they think they can gain something. They can get something out of the guy, or they've hit the wall, right? Yeah, and you may not, and Legatus is severe also because you may not have a government that gives women a check, so the woman is on her own. So, what someone said, right? So there are consequences, right? And maybe that's the problem, is that the way girls are raised, the way men interact with women, we have no consequences at all. Let's get the likes up on this, guys. I want YouTube to recognize this so I can get seen in their rankings. And I know a lot of people might be looking for the other link. And that's unfortunate. So here's what I'm saying. When she allows you to protect her and provide guidance, then you can consider rewarding her. Like women, their brains, just the science of a woman's brain is designed to be rewarded. And it seems like men have allowed the roles to be reversed, and now men are being rewarded. So women are running the show and rewarding men, or implying that they might reward you if you go along with their program, instead of men rewarding women. And women end up resenting men for that, for allowing the role reversal. So if you reward her following the path of Eve, right? Eve wanted to eat the forbidden fruit, knowledge of fruit, and it got everyone into trouble. If men continue to reward women for following the footsteps of Eve, she'll continue that behavior, and it's going to be pretty hard to get her to stop, because when you reward her for bad behavior, she's going to say, you rewarded me. It's like rewarding your child for being a pyromaniac and burning the house down, and moving to another house and then giving him a lighter in the new house. He's going to burn that one down too. And that's exactly what women are doing. They're burning down the culture. So here's the question I'm going to ask you guys. How many men demand that women provide something? I'm asking you guys, how many of you demand a woman provide something, and what is it that you demand women provide? That's the question. How many of you demand a woman provide something, and what do you demand she provides? Well, that's what I was just saying, that PJ, that women look for rewards. Doesn't always have to be external. Perhaps men made it that way. But I'm asking guys, what do you demand women provide? What do you demand they provide? And do you demand that women provide something? And what is it that you demand they provide? Is that your answer, PJ? That they be happy by themselves? Is that what you? Is that your answer? Do you guys even demand something from women? What do you demand from women? Does anyone demand anything from women? I think this is a difficult one for a lot of men. I'm not even sure if most men know they have a right to demand things from women. I think this is part of the problem. We've gotten so much into I'm being rewarded. I'm just lucky. The whole thing. You're lucky to have this woman. You're lucky she has sex with you. You're lucky she loves you. All right. So you guys demand cooperation. Good support. When you demand it, do they provide it? See, I'm asking, what do you demand women provide? So you demand they provide cooperation. You demand they provide support. You demand they provide good behavior. What? See, I'm asking you. I'm asking you to sort of reconfigure the way you look at relationships. So for, I don't know how many decades, this is recent that women have been so hard on defining what it means to be a man. It's recent that women have been so hard on defining what a man's role is. It hasn't always been this way. Women are saying men need to protect and provide. What are women responsible to protect and provide? I mean, do you guys even think that a woman has to protect and provide anything? Should a woman have to? What is it a woman has to protect? What is it she needs to provide? That you can demand it, and when it's not there, you can demand it again. So you demand that she provides obedience. Okay. Okay. It's PJ. I got. My father was 6'1", about 220 pounds. His bicep was a cannonball. Without question, the family was like physically protected. My father made a good living. We lived in a great community. And I just don't know if my father ever demanded anything of my mother. And I think my mother just had no problem demanding from my father. So I think a lot of men are like that. They don't demand anything from women. And my father was In his high school yearbook, they said that he had the patience of a spider weaving his web. But my father was a little heavy-handed, even with his children, the four of us, and even with my mother. So he had a temper, except with my mother, it was like he didn't have any power. Okay, so you demand a woman protect her womb. Yeah, I think that is a conversation every father needs to have with his daughter or niece. Right, exactly. You know, what's that thing that I heard something like Confucius said that a a master key can open any lock. You know, so a bad key is a key that can only open one lock. A master key, which is a great key, can open any lock. And so a good lock is a lock that can only be opened by one key. A bad lock, it can be opened by any key. So any man can stick his key in a lock and open it up. And we have a lot of women like that. I put up a post in Facebook that said, if a woman has sex with more than 6 men, she's emotionally unstable and is no longer a high value woman, high quality, high value. She's emotionally unstable. And man, the women have freaked out over that. They don't want to hear. And I think a lot of men have been penalized for speaking up and saying something. And it's not that I'm going to say, well, I don't care. I never cared. I understand people have feelings, except I'm more interested in, is this behavior going to take us somewhere we all want to be? Is this a dead end street? So I speak up. I spoke up with my mother. I spoke up with my sisters. It doesn't matter, aunts. Men are not demanding much from women. And telling women to protect their womb has to be a conversation. I mean, if you think about whether it's Asian and Middle Eastern, they have less single mothers. They have much less teen pregnancy. So whatever they're telling their girls about protecting their womb, it's working. And you have other communities that are just saying nothing. And women believe they have the freedom to be irresponsible and they have to answer to no one. But now they'll tell you Jesus is her man. Meanwhile, she has 3 children by 3 different men, which is confusing. Because I don't know how Jesus would have gotten her pregnant. Yep. And that's actually what I'm saying. Men need to go back to being controlling. No question, no doubt. See, these questions I'm asking is like, do you make sure that a woman knows that she's responsible for something, anything? Like, how do you have a relationship with a woman who only protects her self-interest, and then she makes all the rules for what you provide and protect? Like, how's that ever going to be a relationship? And what makes you think a woman like that won't drag you into divorce court if she only provides for and protects her self-interest? And that's what we have. We have created a ripe environment for women to have that kind of attitude. Right. Yeah. Right. It's almost like, PJ, you could say men have had good intentions to not want to hurt women's feelings, except now you're raising them as children because you don't want to tell your children something that maybe they won't understand yet. Right. So we attempted to protect them from something that in the long run, they ended up hurting themselves because they never learned about being responsible for themselves, for the choices they make. What do you mean, Legatus, by reverse the role of male mate selection? What do you mean by that? The roles are reversed. Okay, women are supposed to be choosers. You know what? I wonder about that. I wonder if that's just another myth that we bought into. Yeah, I saw that movie, Idiocracy. So I wonder if that's true. So just imagine this. Imagine a scene where you have 100 people, 50 men and 50 women. And so for 1 hour, those 100 people are mingling, right? They're socially networking, they're getting to know one another. And then I bring in 3 men. One is a well-known successful athlete, the other one is a well-known successful entertainer, and the other one's a well-known successful businessman, all single. Those 3 men walk in. What you're going to watch is those women are going to gravitate to those 3 men. All of a sudden, women. See, I don't buy that women just sit back and wait for men. Women will aggressively pursue a man. They just will, man. If they think they're really going to get something out of it, like this is just become bullshit that I've seen it way too often. I've had women get upset with me because they said they had to chase me and they had to do all the work. I don't give a shit because I'm better off to let her put in the effort and have the emotional investment. If you put successful men in a room, women will compete with one another to hunt and have that guy. They just will. Yeah. So everyone says women are the gatekeepers to sex and men are the gatekeepers to marriage, right? I get that. Yeah. Men choose, except women will surely be assertive with a man they really want if they think they're going to get something out of it. Yeah, PJ, that's a big problem that men, because I get guys who put me down and tell me, well, you should never say these things and you're not a real man. And if you go in a barbershop, men don't have these conversations. We know it happens, but you just keep your mouth shut. And the old head guys really have helped create this environment of just shut up and just keep giving women what they want, even if the women don't make sense. You're told like, well, even though it doesn't make sense, you just have to do it. Just get along. Otherwise, you won't get pussy. Hey, Dave. Hey, thanks for checking in, Dave. Good to see you here. How you doing? Um, so women are cowards, no question. So I, I don't want to sidetrack, but I'll just say, look, our biology of a man and woman, uh, men have way more testosterone, and that makes a man more aggressive and assertive. But men have something else called vasopressin, and vasopressin does a few things. It's basically vasopressin is like putting nitrous in your fuel in your car. It intensifies anything. So when vasopressin binds with testosterone, it makes testosterone that much more aggressive. But when it binds with oxytocin, which is the bonding drug, it does the same thing. It causes men to bond even stronger than women. So women don't have that biochemistry to make them as aggressive and as assertive as men. So we can't expect it. Yet you'll watch women compete for a man if the woman believes she's going to get something. I just hell, man. And I know I don't represent all men, but I have personally seen women compete for me. I have personally, whether in a nightclub, I have seen it. And these are not strippers or prostitutes. and I'm 5'6", and these women are all taller than me. I ended up with one who was 5'9", but the other one was 5'10", the other one was 5'8". So just a quick, and with that, a quick side, you know, I hear a lot of guys say, well, if you're not 6'2" and you don't meet that, you know, fuck that. That's bullshit. And in fact, you know, I've dated women as tall as 6'2" and everywhere in between. So if you're a guy who's not 6'2", if you're under, let's say 5'8", there are a lot of women who are tall who will intentionally choose you, man, because they're looking for a guy who is not as tall as them, because in their mind, they're thinking about their children and they don't want their daughter to be as tall as she was, because kids are cruel to very tall girls when they're in elementary school. So just for guys to know, you have a really good chance with women who are tall. And a lot of guys don't approach them, so they are often more receptive. But getting back to so here's what I'm getting across. Women have set the rules for what men should provide and protect. Men have accepted it without question. Like, they didn't question it. They didn't challenge it. They didn't push back. Right. Exactly, PJ. So, right. Women will compete. No question for a man. No question. And they will pursue him aggressively. She'll ring your phone and have your text messages blowing up. So men have accepted the roles that women have handed out to them. Men didn't even question whether this was logical or it made sense. And so for men to say, hey, I no longer want to accept that, women have been doing this for decades. Why should they listen? They understand that if they put pussy on a string, on, you know, like a carrot on a string, the guy is going to just bow down and do what he says just for the opportunity to sniff it. But men are not demanding that women provide and protect anything. Just think about that. If you really do want women to provide something, you've got to demand it. If she's responsible for protecting something in a relationship, yeah, guys, get the likes up. If you want her to protect something in the relationship, or what is it she's responsible for protecting? So in the last video, live stream I did, I talked about developing yourself physically and mentally. And part of what I'm saying with that, why it's so important, is that a woman's going to benefit from your development. If you develop yourself personally, she's going to have better negotiation skills. She's going to handle conflict better. All this she's going to be getting from you. She's going to listen more effectively, and many other things. She benefits just by observation and being around you. And I think a lot of guys underestimate, like, your presence. Like a father in a family, sometimes just his presence brings stability to the family. His presence brings a level of protection and thwarts off any kind of perpetrators. Other men are less likely to molest children when there's a two-parent home, or definitely when the father's there, even if it's a single father, because there are consequences. So I'm saying, guys, when you develop yourself, just your presence, just a woman being invited into your life, she is going to benefit. If guys could get that, your attitude needs to be, if you can find a better deal, go. Just go. That's why I say developing yourself gives you a huge advantage, and she should be putting in effort for you. When you physically develop yourself, well, part of it is you're going to provide sexual pleasure, right? So a body that's physically fit, and as a man, when it comes to sex, hell, we're doing all the work anyway. So it's no way she can be doing you a favor. And if you learn a woman's sexual body, you're definitely the one who's providing the pleasure. A lot of women are not as good as they are. I think women just rely too much on you know, a pussy, on that hole, that's going to be enough to give a man what he needs. So I've been surprised in the US the amount of women who lack knowledge about their own sexual body. So you actually end up uh, being able to distinguish yourself from other men if you really learn about a woman's body, the G spot, where that is. You said, do I think the reason why men don't demand much is because they see women as an accessory, and an accessory is more like a liability. Well, I'd say most women present themselves as a liability, even sexually. I mean, when it comes to money management, she can be a liability. If a woman doesn't understand her body, she can be a liability. If she has poor communication skills and she's triggered and she wants to be angry, she's out there starting fights and getting in a man's face, she's a liability. If you have children with a woman who hasn't developed herself, she's going to create children who will depend on you for the rest of your life. Children who make poor decisions, daughters who become single mothers and move back home. There are a ton of women now, even though they're single, they're still running back to daddy to pay their rent and their car note. That happens way more than people realize. And those same women are saying, I'm independent and I can do it on my own. And their father is paying their rent, paying the car note. So yes, can a woman be a liability? Let's say most of them are. And if men see them as an accessory, you don't demand much. Except, see, there's a flip side to that. If everyone looks at them like some little helpless child who cannot step up to the plate and offer anything, and they're just an accessory, then you're going to get what people will call a self-fulfilling prophecy. She's going to live out and be exactly that. I mean, it's no different if you raise your children that way. Just imagine if you never give your children any responsibility. You have a child, they're never responsible for anything. You don't want them to have too much pressure by doing homework or learning anything new. You don't want them to have pressure. So you coddle your child and be that helicopter parent, and you make sure they don't learn much that will stress them. Well, if you treat women the same way, then she's going to be the eternal child, and she's going to be that liability that you hate having. And as that liability who has no responsibility, she's going to have someone else whispering in her ear, and she'll end up your enemy. So if a man demands something, she's got to straighten up, right? She can't just be slouched and be like, whatever, I'll open my legs when I want and I'll give you protection. Yeah, guys, let's get these likes up. Let's get the likes up, guys. Get them up. So Chaos, you actually bring up a really good point. Let's get them up, guys. Get them up. Share this video with, because I want to talk about, I've got some other things, just a few more things I want to address here. Well, hey, Chaos, psychologists, one of the things that, there's a book called The Hidden Persuader. And in The Hidden Persuader, they talk about how they persuaded people through advertising and public relations. And they did it by hiring sociologists, anthropologists, and social anthropologists and psychologists. And those professionals helped craft advertising campaigns and propaganda campaigns that really manipulated people. And they were doing this heavily in the 40s, 50s. In fact, I think the first election to use a public relations firm was the election of, I think, 1956 or 54, something like that. And it was extremely successful, and they've been doing it ever since. But what they learned is that you can feed people things, and if you repeat it over and over again, which is really the essence of what I'm getting at in this, that you just keep feeding messages and telling men you're a bad boy if you put demands on women. You're a bad boy if you tell women they have a role. You're controlling, you're abusive. You keep telling guys that, and you're giving that to them in school. You're giving that to them in the movies. And then you watch your father acquiesce and like, yeah, son, you know, girls are made of sugar and spice and everything nice. And you have, like, guys ended up falling for it. And that's ultimate. That is the essence. So this is what I'm getting at. So women have created this new paradigm. That's what they've created, a brand new paradigm. And they're not even happy about it. The studies show that women are less happy now than they were with all their so-called rights, and rights they didn't have before. They're less happy now than they were in the 70s. And this happened because the older guys didn't protect women from themselves. They watch women bite the proverbial apple. Now they have all this knowledge. They know what they want. And women don't like the apple. And now they're attempting to figure out how to get special privileges in a world where they claim they desire equality. And so you can't have special privileges and equality at the same time. This is just another street women are going down, like they're walking almost like zombies in chaos. I demanded all of this. Now I do not like it. This is your fault. You should have never let me go down this path. It's men's fault. So now we should give them special privileges. So how did women create this? They didn't use guns. Technically, they didn't even use pussy. They didn't use tanks, nothing physical. Women used talking points. And instead of men correcting the talking points, men embraced them, and a lot of men became feminist also. So the men who didn't are the ones. So think about this. The men who did not embrace feminism, the men who did not follow the direction and leadership of women, those are the men who are getting the pussy. Those are the men who violate boundaries with women. Those are the men that women still flock to. And that's the irony of this situation. So women changed the culture of the United States just with conversations. This is really important. That's it. They didn't use force, no guns, no tanks, no physical fights. They used nothing. They used conversation, talking points. They created brand new conversations. And most people believe that culture is made up of things and stuff that you do. And so just stay with me on this, guys. Social anthropologists say that a culture is just a network of conversations. It's the things that people say, what they don't say, what people think about and don't say. But those are all the things that shape your actions. So why is it important? It's because if you understand that your culture is just conversations, it can be changed back. If you look at corporations, a lot of corporations think, well, if I pay people differently, or if I write rules and regulation, if I get angry at people, it'll change the culture. I'll hire someone else who's different. I'm saying the way a culture in a corporation gets created is by the conversations at the very top, the board of directors, the CEO, and the other top executives. Whatever they say is what's going to come down into the rest of the company. And that's exactly what's happened here. Now, it doesn't have to happen at the top here. It can be through the media, through the TV. You use different mediums to create conversations. And all you need is for people to buy into them. So what I'm getting at is the time now is for men to once again provide guidelines for what the culture should be. So what women have done today is no different than what Eve did. Eve thought she would gain by eating the forbidden fruit, and it cost her a lot. And then it cost Adam, and he followed this because he followed the guidance of a woman. And that's what a lot of guys are doing now. Right, reverse engineering caused by feminism. So reverse engineering. I think maybe it requires reverse engineering now. I guess I can see how women reverse, and they did reverse roles, but they just engineered a completely new paradigm, chaos. They just engineered one. They just made it up like a PR strategy. Most women did not. In fact, there's a French guy back in 1837 who he coined the term feminism. He coined that, and feminism is just social. It's socialism, right? And socialism and feminism, for it to work, to be the most effective, is you have to get the father out of the home. If you can remove the father from the family, it's easier to control women. So basically, you set a trap for women to walk into, and you actually give women instructions on how to create the trap, and then they're trapped in it long term. Right. So if men can see that women are being manipulated, it's only going to be women who can stop this. Now, who would want socialism to exist in any country, right? It's a lot of people think it's the government, but if you really step back, the government, well, they're just public servants, right? They serve large landowners, wealthy families, and large corporations. So which wealthy families, large landowners, and corporations benefit if most people are in a controlled socialist environment? That becomes the question. Which families, which corporations, how will they benefit? Yeah, imagine that. Feminism to get women more feminine. That's funny. Oxymoron. So part of what I'm saying is when men allow women to dictate what a man's role is, we're going to be right where we are now. And women have dictated that men provide money and physical safety, and she has to earn that. And guys don't demand that either. You don't demand that she earns what she's asking for. She can demand it all day long. Like there's no way a woman can force a man to give his money or any other resources. There's no way women can force you to protect them. If they're out doing stupid things, sometimes you have to let them go out and get hit by a car and learn the lesson, right? And I understand we want to protect them, and we've been told we're bad if we don't. But if she earns, so she earns it by committing to your guidance. And I'm really asking you guys to understand it's your guidance is one of the most important things you can provide to a woman, not your money. I mean, when women talk about being empowered, women are really empowered when a man offers guidance in a way that he cares about her best interest. And that is what women need. Sometimes, so propaganda has been used to get women to focus on the things they want instead of what they need. And we end up here. So a man's guidance is what they need. like stability, emotional stability, discipline, care. The way a man cares is very different. It's very different. Women want to be rewarded for caring, just like they want to be rewarded for sex. Yeah, child support can force you to pay. Then that's why I say you don't get any woman, you don't get women pregnant. You just don't. I mean, if you're going to get a woman pregnant, you make sure that she's with your program. And if she's not like full time with your program, then you don't reward her with a child. Women really do seek men's guidance. And when you provide it to them, and you care about their best interest, I mean, listen, sometimes you have to be an asshole about your guidance. And sometimes she might cry. Sometimes she's going to say you're mean and unfair. And that means most likely that's exactly what she needed. You can't care about a woman's feelings. Most of the times a woman's feelings are going to be irrational. I told you guys that a woman will make up so many stories in her head about things that are not happening, that if you allow the stories in her head to guide you, it's like you're both going to be on a dead end. And that will be like following Eve all over again. I mean, we have a culture of Eve, and we have, like you guys have said, a bunch of simps. We have a bunch of Adams who will just follow Eve to the end of the earth, even if it means he's kicked out of paradise. So if we're going to have anything that resembles paradise again, it's going to be because men built it and men protected it. And part of the way you protect it is you protect women from themselves and their foolish emotional decisions, their lack of discipline. You protect women from that. You provide them guidance, wisdom. You provide boundaries for them. And if she wants to do things her own way, let her go. I mean, all women who want to do things themselves, ultimately, they need to go build their own civilization. And I don't have a problem with that. If Adam would have, if Adam would have told Eve, you bit the apple, that's your ass, you're on your own. I told you not to bite it. You did it your way. Fuck off. Now go build your own thing. If Adam would have done that instead of biting it and following her, we'd have a very different paradigm. And that is the power that men need to exude with women. If they want their own, if they don't need us, then go build your own. I mean, as much as women say they don't need us, they're driving on the roads we built, in the cars that we built, living in the houses that we've built, in the office buildings, the bridges, all of this stuff, the clothes, the manufacturing facilities, the food that we farm, all of that has been done with the hands and brains of men. So if they don't need us, they should be able to easily walk away and disengage from everything men have built. Except they haven't. It's just a mind game. So if she doesn't need your protection, don't offer it. If she wants to tell you what you're responsible for, ignore her. And too many men are in situations that hurt them mentally and financially because they allowed the roles to be reversed. Women are providing guidance to men about everything. And men have been convinced that good men take heed to what women say. And those guys, a lot of them are afraid, like you guys have been saying, they don't want to be called a sexist, a caveman, a misogynist, or whatever ist women think of. So if they don't like if women don't like men's guidance, they should, like I said, build their own civilization. So there are many women, without question, who wouldn't want to live in a civilization run by all women. And those women understand cooperation with men. So one of the things I think that's been lost in our society is this notion that that the feminists have said men just want to dominate and control. And women need to understand that men are not out to hurt them. And feminists just drop propaganda saying that we are the enemy. Men are generally looking out for what's in the best interest of everyone involved. I mean, hell, even if we're having sex, it's for both of us. Unless a guy is raping a woman, sex is for both of us. It's for both our enjoyment. So now that we've seen the reality of what happens when women bite the apple and promote division, ultimately now it's up to men to stand up and create new conversations. Ultimately, you don't accept or bend to women's guidance. You do not accept, you do not bend, you do not yield to that. It's men who are, as I said, culture is created by conversations, what people say, even what they don't say, what they think. These are all conversations, whether in your head or coming out of your mouth. So it's men who are going to have to create these new conversations in a new culture. It's not like there's black magic or voodoo. And part of that conversation, yes, it's going to have to deal with policies that are made. And if women want to follow policies that hate men, then women need to be penalized for that. So ultimately, I'm saying it's about taking a stand and sending away all the Eves who want to do things their own way and don't want to accept a man's guidance. As men, we're not obligated to provide anything to women any longer. I mean, 51% of the workforce is made up of women. Why are women not thinking long term? Just think about it. If women want men to provide protection and provisions, and most of the workforce is filled with women, how the hell can men do that? I mean, imagine if 90% of the workforce is filled with women. What are you going to do with all those men who are unemployed? And women are still going to have those demands. Women don't want unmarried men. And women would become even more promiscuous if they had most of the jobs, 90% of the jobs in the workforce. The 10% would go to the dangerous jobs they don't want. Exactly. When they're not under a man's guidance, they are miserable. Interesting, PJ. Your mother chose a guy who she couldn't control. Are your parents still together, PJ? Just curious. If she wants to be a captain, throw her ass overboard, Chaos. Let her go build her own ship. Yeah, that's a big one, Chaos. Men are the big taxpayers, and women vote for free stuff. Hey, Alan Kush. I haven't seen it. I've heard about it. It sounds like another push for pedophilia, but I don't really know. It sounds like it, Alan. So, if women want a man's protection and his provisions, she is asking for his control. That's exactly what she's asking for. She's asking for a man to create a world and protect her in that world. That means the man controls the world he creates. She's asking a man to build it. Right, PJ. She threatens to leave. She doesn't. Sometimes women just like to complain. And your father seems to understand. He's got it right. He's not bending to her. Women will call you an asshole and love you for it. This is why in my last video, if you reward a woman for bad behavior, then she feels like she can do whatever she wants. But if you make her work hard if you be an asshole, you have to know how to turn this on and off, she'll have greater appreciation, because the times that you give her a sweet moment, she's working for that 24/7. So some guys might be uncomfortable when I say men should not yield to women. Go back to some of you guys who just came in, one of the questions I asked everyone was, what do you demand from women? And I think a lot of guys don't realize they have the right to make demands on women, like serious demands. This is how it is. This is what I want. This is what you must bring. Men don't demand that women provide something in a relationship. Women are responsible for providing something, and they only know that if someone demands it. And if they didn't see their father demanding it from their mother, it'll be a foreign language. And some of you guys may get this bad feeling, almost like you're betraying your mother or some woman in your family, some woman you love. Well, that's unfortunate. But if you feel like it's a bad idea to put demands on women, and you have an uncomfortable feeling, and you feel like putting demands even on your own mother is uncomfortable, that may mean your mother's at the top of the list of women you need to put in check. Fearlessly. And it doesn't mean you're disrespecting her. You're an adult. And if your mother has inappropriate behavior, she needs to hear about it. She doesn't need to be beat up over it, but there's certain behavior that's unacceptable. If your mother's always complaining, it's like, hey, Mom, do you know you complain and your life is really good? Do you ever take a step back to see how great life is for you? And it doesn't have to be a comparison to someone who's destitute. It's just, I think women don't realize how good life is for them. They're safe. A woman can walk out the door. She's not worried about a tiger attacking her. She can walk out. Most women can walk out of the house and never be raped. They can go to work. They can drive in traffic. Men have created all these conveniences. They can turn on the AC in their house, in their car. Men have built places. They've created entire industries where women, they work, they contribute. We've built entire civilizations that give women so many conveniences. Their clothes are made instantly. They don't have to make clothes. There's a company that has assembly lines of people on sewing machine making clothes. They're making shoes. They're making cars. They're making furniture. They're making all these things that make life easier. And women are walking around as though everything in life is a threat, including a man saying hello. So I don't care if it's your mother or your girlfriend or wife or sister. If she's complaining all the time, it's time for her to shut her trap. There's no need for us to hear that anymore. Women are poor at showing appreciation and acknowledging men. If we open a door for a woman, many women, their attitude is, that's your job and you owe me that. Like they're entitled. And a lot of guys believe that is their job. So maybe we should let more doors close in their face. Maybe we should help them understand what independence really looks like. You thought your dad was an asshole too. Yeah, when men put demands on women, women want to submit. They just don't want to submit to a guy they think is weaker than she is. Every single time I'm firm with women, the response is, you should never change. Stay that way. And then next week, they're trying to get me to be less firm about something. And they may be upset, except they don't run anywhere. And 10 years later, if I don't speak to them, they come back and they're still interested. I told you guys about a Sony Walkman and how they wanted to know if in a focus group if people would prefer the yellow Walkman over the black. And when they said at the end of the focus group, here, you can have one of your own, people took the black one and not the yellow one, even though the people in the focus group said everyone would want the yellow one. I'm saying that for a reason. That's exactly how a lot of people function in the world, and women especially function. They will tell you, I want this. I want a guy who's sensitive and into his, he understands his feelings and emotions. And then when it comes time for her to choose that guy, she's choosing the guy who doesn't give a damn about his feelings or even hers. Now, there are women who understand quality. And that's a different kind of woman. But even the quality woman still needs to have boundaries. She still needs guidance from a man. I mean, I'm willing to bet any woman who's quality out there is quality because she was raised by her father. She had her father every day in her life, not co-parenting, not divorced. Quality women, as a rule, I'm willing to bet, is you'll find out part of the reason she's quality and she's a better, more logical, a better problem solver is because her father, daddy, was there in her life every day. Just his presence would make a difference in her life. So quality women, even good women, will understand the need for a man's decision-making capacity, the need for a man to be firm. Women who don't understand that are running around like a dog with no leash, and they'll eventually get hit by a car because they don't know where they're going. And the car for most women is the wall, and they've made all kinds of poor decisions, and they have multiple children. This pandemic is going to weed out a lot of people. Wow, 90% of fathers are simps. PJ, that's what I'm really after. If a man understands that is what he's providing is not money, it's not resources, and he's not protecting her from the boogeyman, because women will have men believing there's a boogeyman out there every day after her. The man is providing guidance, wisdom, stability. He's providing direction. He's providing those things. And if a woman has no idea how to appreciate that, then there's a good chance you'll end up in divorce court because she won't appreciate what's been given to her. You know, we look at Will Smith and his wife. I don't know what Will Smith is like as a father or as a spouse, but technically Will Smith is like your typical, he's the prince that every woman wants, right? The fresh prince. And still she had to go to some other man. And perhaps Will was spineless in their relationship. Maybe he chased her. Part of what I'm saying is a lot of guys are putting too much effort into pursuing a woman, and women believe that's just the way it is. And that's what a man is supposed to do. Provide, protect, chase. That's what men do. Yet when a woman believes she's really going to get something, she will pursue that man. She will have your phone ringing. She will be texting you and sending you messages on social media. She just will. She may be upset about it because in a woman's mind, it's like, oh, I'm doing all the wrong things. How do I explain this to my friends? Women are this whole social alienation is a problem, and so She's more worried about the story she's going to tell her friends, except if she really thinks you are a guy who has something to offer her that is well beyond money and protecting her from the boogeyman, she's going to put in the effort. Exactly, Alan. And that's the point, is that men wake up and understand that the only reason we are here is because women created this brand new conversation that said, I don't need a man. Men are abusive. Men are controlling. They're going to dominate you. They're dangerous. They created that conversation. And that made a lot of men curl up in a ball and say, well, I don't want to be those things. So what do you want me to do? That's how it happened. Women said stuff. They said things that were not even true. They just made up shit. They made it up, and men bought it. And I'm saying that that's how any culture is created anywhere in the world, in any company in the world. Someone creates these conversations. Then sometimes they make them into documents that people live by. These are the policies, and those conversations shape the way people engage, the way they act, or the things they do or don't do. And it's now up to men to create these new conversations. And one of them has to be the firmness that a man actually brings to the table. Out the gate. A couple of days ago, we were talking about the questions you ask a woman. So let me ask you guys a question. So I'm going to ask an obvious question. How do you know a woman will honor your demands? I'm asking you guys, how do you know a woman will honor your demands? Seems obvious. I know it seems obvious, but just how do you guys know a woman will honor your demands? What do you guys think? You make demands. Is the woman going to honor them or not? How will you know if she'll honor them? What do you guys think? Is this another one of those difficult questions because men don't make demands? Just think about it, guys. How would you know a woman is actually going to honor your demands? Okay. Yep. That's kind of the obvious one, right? She does it or she doesn't do it. How else will you know? Yeah. Don't make demands. Okay. I understand why you say that, Alan. And I'm going to assert the reason our society is exactly the way it is because that's what men believe, is that it's your turn. Yet we could look at Middle Eastern culture, Asian culture, and they don't play that bullshit. And their women honor their demands. I lived in Latin America, and women honor demands of men. They know they have a role, and they don't have a problem honoring that role. And their men don't worry about whether it's their turn or not. They make their demands. So if she honors it, if she does it. But the other way is when you put your demands on a woman, how does she respond to it initially? See, that will tell you a lot. Yeah, if she supports them, Right, but she may come back with a question. So if I give you those things, what do I get? Or uh, why are you so demanding? Is this always going to be your way or the highway? Do I get any say in this? Like she may question it and not necessarily be pushing back. Right. If she doesn't argue with you about it. Right. She may be asking questions. So is this the way you operate? Is this going to be your way or the highway? Like, is this the way I have to function in this? Just tell me. Yeah, if she doesn't demand anything back, right? She's not playing tit for tat. Exactly. Yeah. See, there are women that will cooperate. The problem, and one of the biggest problems you may have, is she may not have a template for how to deal with a demanding man, even if she grew up with daddy. So you have to understand her brain may go through some level of shock. I mean, I've put demands on women and I saw their facial expression like, oh my God, but they dared not push back. Like at any point, not that day and not any time in the future. They understood that there were boundaries in their relationship, their interaction with me. I I remember telling a woman, if you ever get fat, this relationship's over. I said, what you presented to me is a body that I like very much. And the moment you get fat, I said, it's your body. I have no right to tell you what to do with it. If you want to be fat, I'm okay with that, but this relationship's over. And she said, well, don't you get fat either? I said, don't worry about me. You just worry about yourself. My demand was that she remained sexy and physically fit the way I wanted her. Exactly, Alan. That's what it's from the beginning. If you put these boundaries from the beginning, and this particular woman, I did this within, I don't know, the first 2 months maybe of seeing her. You get fat, we're done. If you go in this direction, I told her on the second date, if you ever use sex as a weapon, we're done. I don't want to have sex with you at all. Exactly. Right. You're letting her know up front you have standards and you won't play. And I've remember telling another woman that if you ever use sex as a weapon, this is over. And she apparently ignored me. So she used it as a weapon. And she said, look, this is not going to be this way forever. And I said, it is going to be this way. We're never having sex again. She said, no, we're going to have sex again. I said, no, we're not. We're done. I told you, if you do this, it's over. So if you put these boundaries up from the beginning, she either has to operate within them or you throw her overboard. No, it's not their nature, Alan. It's what men have allowed them to get away with. See, women will always do what they're allowed to get away with. If you can take a step back and see that a lot of things that women are doing are no different than what you will see with children. Children will do what you allow them to get away with. So will women. And I understand some women may be offended by that. You're calling me a child, but your emotional outburst, the pettiness, trying to be right about things, and you don't even know what you're talking about. These are all childish behaviors. And this is why I say, if you understand these things about a woman, you don't try to fight it. You develop yourself to be that man who can provide guidance to her so that she's not stuck with her nature. You give her some other way to be in the world, and you may have to strip her ass down to nothing and give her the kind of guidance that will get her ahead in life. And you cannot be afraid to strip her down to nothing. And I'm not talking about physically. I'm talking about your mind. And yeah. And if you are controlling, if you are demanding, if you are creating boundaries, what are women going to do? Kick your ass? Like, men have no reason to be afraid of women. You're going to deny me sex? I mean, there are so many different ways to get sex. And if you're going to take a woman out on dates and spend X amount of dollars on dinner and all that stuff, or you can go to a strip club and just give a woman money and have sex. There are women who just want to be wanted. You just have to be careful of these STDs out here. So, but sex is not a problem for any man to get. And if sex is going to come with a cost that diminishes you as a man, as a human being, then sex really isn't worth that much to you. Because in the end, you end up being a guy who's stuck with a woman who knows that you've been diminished by some other woman, and she's going to crush you. She's going to continue walking on you just like the last woman did. So it's not worth it. Sex is never worth you giving up what you stand for as a man. And what men stand for is discipline, boundaries, problem solving, guidance, direction, knowledge, wisdom. These are things that men stand for, and women look for that. And if you're not providing that, and if you're trying to buy your way into a woman with gifts and flowers and money, you're going to get your ass kicked in divorce court by her. And you're kidding yourself if you think you won't. So, hey, guys, share this. Like, I think there just aren't enough men who understand they have permission to take a stand and put demands on women, like real demands right out the gate. So I have a question just like my last one. What are you guys getting out of this live stream? What are you getting from this? I'm asking all of you. What are you getting? What are you getting from this live stream? Yeah, and I think unfortunately, PJ, it's because we keep telling men that the only thing they want is sex. So this is just all that is a talking point. If you keep indoctrinating people with talking points, even if they're lies, the truth can appear to be a lie, but it doesn't mean it's the truth. I think that's been the trap, is that men have taken pride in believing that all they are is sexual beings. Yeah, exactly, the goddess. Yeah. What else are you guys getting from this? So make demands. Men need to let women know their roles and what is expected of them. These are also conversations that men are having together. This needs to be a wide scale conversation where men do not back down, no matter what. I mean, what are women going to threaten? That they're no longer going to build roads for us? They're no longer going to build bridges? They won't have children? I mean, there are billions of women around the world. Yeah, men are going to have to take back society, and they're going to have to undo what's been done the same way it was done, through a completely new set of conversations. We're going to have to suck the ones that are there, suck them out. So, guys, I appreciate you joining me in this one. This was kind of somewhat of an impromptu conversation I was thinking through. Just wanted to share this with you. Always love when you guys join me and give me great feedback. My commitment is that we do take society back as men. You see, the elite cannot exist without the masses. If you took the masses away, then the elite would have to do everything on their own. See, we keep worrying about people. You drive the conversations, even though they may try to reverse them in the media. We as the masses are the prize, not the elite. They depend on us 100%. Hey, thanks a lot, Let′s. Thanks a lot, guys, for checking in with me, checking me out. And I'll be back with another show. I think Sunday I'm going to do both a live stream and a podcast, and I'm going to talk about whether or not all men should follow MGTOW. So I'm going to do a show like that. So join me. Be ready for Sunday at 7 p.m. Show is called Straight Talk, and we're going to talk about whether men should be going down the path of MGTOW, red pill, or even the ominous black pill. So you got it. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Talk to you soon. Enjoy the weekend. Bye.